What are the motives behind performance-enhancing drugs? Regnums 121741, 110212, 120361, 123351. The main question society always wonders is, why do athletes take performance-enhancing drugs? There are many motives for athletes. In particular, cyclists take drugs to enhance their performance. Physiologically, there are many benefits which override the physical and sociological side effects in their opinion. These drugs that many cyclists use, including Lance Armstrong, there are EPO, cortisone, blood doping, human growth hormone and amphetamines. EPO markedly enhances endothelial activity activation and platelet reactivity in humans. Stowell. This allows cyclists to produce more red blood cells, thus increasing the blood's oxygen transfer capacity. CERA is the most efficient form of the drug, and this form was only detectable from May 2008 in drugs tests. Blood oxygenation is a fundamental factor in optimizing muscular activity. Enhancement of oxygen delivery to tissues is associated with a substantial improvement in athletic performance, particularly in endurance sports. Goddard. Blood doping can dramatically increase the number of red blood cells, consequently increasing the level and duration of performance. After the blood has been altered, it is usually placed back into the body via blood transfusion. The first effective performance-enhancing drug were amphetamines. These drugs, nicknamed La Bomba by Italian cyclists and Atum by Dutch cyclists, minimise the uncomfortable sensations of fatigue during exercise. Noakes. However, in the current cycling scene, amphetamines are rarely used and can be seen as a drug for the unimaginative or unsophisticated cheats. Since the Tour of Spain champion Angel Arroyo was caught in 1982, the drug has barely been seen. Amphetamines are stimulants and can increase alertness, energy and reduce fatigue. Another story which seems to have dramatically affected the use of amphetamines within the cycling is the tragic death of Tom Simpson during the Tour de France on Mont Ventoux in 1967. The reason for his death was drug abuse, severe dehydration and the heat. Along with amphetamines, cortisone can also diminish pain. Cortisone, a potent but illegal performance-enhancing drug used to dampen inflammation, also reduces the discomfort of heavy daily training and competition and lifts the mood. It is also widely abused by professional cyclists. Vote. Tour de France athletes cycle for 21 days over 2,100 miles, pushing their bodies to the extremes. The fatigue and the DOMS experienced can be reduced by the drug cortisone. An alternative to cortisone is narcotic nostalgics such as morphine, methadone, heroin and pethidine. Again, these are very strong painkillers which allow cyclists to train and compete for longer without feeling pain thresholds. Testosterone propionate, testosterone, the prototype for the anabolic steroids, the second major group of potent performance-enhancing drugs. By increasing muscular size, these drugs increase strength, power and sprinting speed. They also alter mood and the rate of recovery, permitting more intensive training and hence superior training adaptations. For maximal effect, anabolic steroids are used in combination with other hormones that have similar activity, including insulin, growth hormones and insulin-like growth factor.
Maintaining and improving physical performance is essential to athletes and their ego. Top results are needed throughout competition to allow athletes to stay at the top, being the best they can be. However, the use of performance-enhancing drugs can sometimes be all too easy, especially when benefits include enhancing their training ability. In an interview carried out by Oprah Winfrey, Lance Armstrong admitted he did not feel he was cheating at the time and viewed it as the playing field. This supports the idea that many individuals during his racing career were using performance-enhancing drug to maintain their ability to perform. These athletes were in their own subculture where they shared the same norms, attitudes and values. These athletes feel that winning is the only reasoning behind performing and without winning they have failed. This is known as winning at all cost mentality. Many aspects of the athlete's life can contribute to this mentality. The ego of the athlete, the desire to become wealthy, and the public recognition brought with the fame and winning major competitions or events. Many athletes dream of having financial support during their sporting career. These include winning funds, sponsorships, government body support systems. For many athletes, this type of support can be found hard graft. However, athletes using performance-enhancing drugs, it is another process of the winning attitude. As a result of the athlete performing well, prize money is awarded to them, as well as the recognition of winning. This leads to an increase of popularity for the athlete. This draws sponsorships towards them and offers many types of deals where the athlete can grow their popularity. However, all this media acknowledgement increases the likelihood of the athlete getting caught. From the same interview carried out on Lawrence Armstrong, it showed his determination and confidence within the drugs he was taking. He admitted he had no fear in getting caught and showed the athlete only thinks about the positives of the drug. Another reason why athletes use performance-enhancing drugs is to cope with the pressures of the elite athlete lifestyle. As well as having to concentrate on reaching their own goals, athletes are having to cope with pressures external to themselves, such as coaches, family, media, fans, and sponsorships. These pressures cover many different concepts. For example, media pressure not only involves having to be confident in front of cameras and speak to press, it also requires athletes to sustain athlete appearance. This prevents negative press and talk about the athlete having poor health or form. Physiological pressures can be brutal for the athlete to deal with. As a result, some athletes feel the only way to ensure the pressures are dealt with is for the use of performance-enhancing drugs. These release some of the pressures and allow athletes to enjoy the benefits of winning. Therefore, this can be linked with the winning at all cost mentality. The release of pressure allows athletes to enjoy the winning feeling. This results in positive press, a winning fan base, and support from all over the world, as well as their name in their sporting history book. For Lawrence Armstrong, his race not only resulted in positive outcomes, but also the growth of his Livestrong charity. During the interview carried out, he admitted that his cancer fight in the mid-1990s gave him a win-at-all-cost attitude. The charity itself then became successful. This resulted in Lawrence having a bigger drive to remain a winning athlete and failing not to be an option for the growth of his charity.
The fan base created by his success, both cycling and his charity, was soon diminished by the discovery of his use of drugs throughout his cycling career. This had an extremely negative impact on society's views on him and his work done for the Livestrong charity after seeing him as a sporting hero to now a cheat. Most of society found out what had happened to Armstrong through the use of media and how they portrayed Armstrong and his doping scandal, through the use of social media sites, newspapers, and in particular the news, for the interview of Armstrong and Oprah Winfrey. Numerous fans were devastated with the shocking news and as a result thought negatively upon Armstrong and all the work he had done for the Livestrong charity. An example from a university student said, "It's just sad and it's just an awful thing because he was my idol, but now I have lost all respect for him." Davis stated that in an article quoted by Second Life charity and Jerry Sandusky, his once essential impact is now a major negative. Not only did this have a negative impact on society with his fans, but also resulted with professionals such as the International Cycling Union, sponsorships and tour organisers to look down on him as a cyclist. The UCL president, Pat McQuaid, stated, "Lance Armstrong has no place in cycling. He deserves to be forgotten." Not only did this impact Armstrong mentally, but also had the potential of affecting him physically due to the intake of performance-enhanced drugs, which carried many side effects, especially to his health, but also could have resulted to aggressive behaviour. This could have led to a greater negative impact on what society felt about Armstrong. The use of performance-enhanced drugs can potentially destroy the image of sport and how society sees sport if the use of drugs in sport continues.
When Lance Armstrong thoroughly admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs to win all of his 7 Tour de France races, he revealed that doping was part of the process to win the Tour. BBC Sport. Armstrong felt that he had to use performance-enhancing drugs in order to win any of his Tour de France races. Armstrong's winning philosophy became negative, since he perceived that he could only win with the use of drugs, so he became dependent on using them every time he competed. BBC Sport also stated that Lance Armstrong had no fear of being caught using performance-enhancing drugs. Having this mentality would give him more reason to continue with doping. In June 2013, Armstrong hit out at the World Cycling Governing Body, UCI's Pat McQuaid, saying that cycling will not change and will always be filled with doping as long as McQuaid remains in power. Litchfield. Even though Armstrong was eventually caught and stripped from his titles, he lashed out with these comments, knowing that doping in cycling happens throughout most competition off-seasons, and athletes sometimes continue to win or perform well without getting caught. In conclusion, there are many motives to taking performance-enhancing drugs. However, many athletes see the positives of taking these drugs and do not see the side effects, both physically and socially, on their careers. Many athletes do take drugs, and the mentality of winning at all costs overrides the other aspects associated with taking performance-enhancing drugs.